It started the day I moved in. The lady from the property management company brought me into the place and handed me 2 keys. They were for the front door, both for the deadbolt and knob locks. I thanked her, and we shook hands. I went through the place with a fine-tooth comb, taking pictures of any pre-existing damage. As I surveyed the living room, I saw an object lying underneath one of the baseboard heaters. Upon closer inspection, I realized it was a key. It was coated with dust and a thin layer of grime. I washed it off in the sink and considered what it could be for. The first thing that came to mind was the front door, so I started there. It worked. On both the deadbolt and doorknob, it worked. I called my property manager to explain the situation, and to my surprise, they were cool about it. They had to replace a key when the previous tenant lost one and assumed this was the one I'd found. They marked my apartment down as having 3 keys instead of just 2 and told me to make sure I left all 3 in the unit when I moved out. This seemed fair to me, and for a while that was the end of it. A few months into my lease, however, I found another. It was under the kitchen sink, deep in the far right corner of the cabinet. I had slid some paper towels under there and felt the key slide back until it hit the wall. I pulled out the paper towel and looked inside with my phone's flashlight. Sure enough, it was there. It was in similar condition to the first, caked with dust and grime. This was the first time I performed the ritual of find key, try key. Of course, it worked in both locks on my front door. This was on a Saturday, and my landlord's office wouldn't open until Monday, so I placed the key on the counter and went about my weekend. When I called on Monday, they actually sent someone out to collect and verify it. Well, this is a pickle, the lady said, holding both keys in her palm. The last time this unit had to replace a key before recently was 8 years ago. It was under the sink, I said. It's possible nobody noticed it until now. True, but I wonder how it got down there in the first place. That was something I hadn't considered. The first had been in the living room under the heater. It made sense that someone could have dropped and left it there. It made less sense that another ended up under the kitchen sink. "I'll leave this one with you," she said, handing me the first key I'd found. "This one I'll take back to the office." She placed the key into her purse before wishing me a good day and leaving. In the months that followed, I found more and more keys. At their request, I stopped calling my landlord. I was told to collect any keys I found and keep them safe until I moved out. They would dispose of them after I was gone. Now, the last thing I want to do is piss off my landlord, so I'm turning to Reddit. I gotta tell someone about this because it's getting out of hand. They're everywhere. In my shower, on my desk, even in the microwave. That last one I only found because it started sparking when I tried heating up a bowl of soup, and now they're appearing in, I don't know, aggressive ways. One was stabbed through the center of my TV like a railway spike. Another was in my garbage disposal, which demolished it the second I turned it on. I found them lodged in the windows, the patio door, the bathroom mirror more than once. And even in one of my car's tires. I was at a loss for what to do. The property management was unresponsive to my calls and emails on the matter, and were quick to tell me that this wouldn't get me out of my lease early. I'd still have to pay out or find someone to take it over. So, despite everything that had happened to me, I decided to grin and bear it for the remaining 3 months of my lease. And then came a turning point. Not too long after I moved in, I adopted a black cat who I named Mystic. She's a great roommate, even if she scratches my couch and her poops are nuclear when she doesn't bury them. She's very cuddly, though, and always greets me at the door with a little meep when I get home from work or leave my bedroom in the morning. So when I left my bedroom last week and she didn't greet me, I tensed up. Looking down the hallway, I noticed speckles of a dark liquid on the floor leading into the living room. My heart sank as I bolted down the hall and found her there, lying on her side in the middle of the room. She was breathing hard, and there was a key stabbed into her right hind leg. Everything was a blur after that. I know I scooped her up and felt the dried blood on her black fur and rushed it to the nearest vet. Thankfully, they removed the key and stitched up the wound, no problem. Afterwards, they hesitated to send her home with me, thinking I'd done this to her. But when they saw how badly she wanted to be near me the second she woke up, the hesitation vanished. I was thankful for that, but didn't want to bring Mystic back to my apartment. So I took her to my mom's to stay for a bit while I figured things out. My plan had been to research my apartment building and see if anything like this had ever been reported to the authorities or talked about online. I didn't get very far, though, because this morning I woke up to find a key in bed with me. It was lying near my right calf, with the tip pointed towards me. The message was clear enough. I wasn't sure if I'd provoked it, whatever it is, by digging into its past, or if it just wanted to hurt me. I'm not even sure if there is an it in this situation. Regardless, after that experience, I headed to a hotel. I booked 2 nights, and I'm spending the first by making this post. My plan now is to go to the apartment in the daylight tomorrow and grab some more stuff, including the sandwich bag I've kept the keys in and a copy of my lease. I also want to count the keys. It's something I've put off for far too long. I doubt it'll do any good, but it'll satiate my curiosity, if nothing else. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. A quick shout out to my patrons, Old Penguin, Rinku Star, Melissa Perez, Icy Narrates, Seven Cities Journalist, Cupcake Hips, Eric Cifuentes, Alonso, Austin My Love, Ellie Hutmeyer, Jesse Hartley, Lawrence Wallen, Mr. Sankofa, and William Hartley. I always try to link a different charity in the description, so go ahead and check that out. I'm also going to start having more things on my Patreon soon, so keep your eyes peeled. And as always, I'd love to know how I can be praying for you, so go ahead and drop a comment and let me know how I can do that. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next video.